I'll come back up, introduce our other guest, and we'll take it from there. So thank you again, all of you. Thank you, Chief Perry, Little Son, for the traditional welcome. That's also very important that the local people are aware of what's going on, and we bring this kind of message to them too. So it's good to see you all here. Hahom Guaitiao, thank you, relatives.
Nosotros nos unimos para proteger nuestro territorio, nuestra tierra, nuestro barro, nuestros árboles, nuestros ríos. Entonces nosotros somos como la madre tierra. Así que Casa María,
In this favor, I endorse the inclusion of the indigenous issues among the priorities of the United Nations.
De tener acceso a la educación, acceso al trabajo, que tengan tierra, que sea equitativo, ya no haya exclusión. When the land is big of us, it's our life, it's our land.
We don't talk in terms of the definition of indigenous, we talk in terms of the concept of indigenous. We express ourselves collectively through our culture, through our spirituality. We identify as a group collectively, we pass on our tradition and knowledge collectively. Descent, if you identify as such and if you're recognized as such by the community, then for us that's good enough.
Because that's what we're doing, it's the violations against our mother. In Indigenous society, there are four things that are sacred above all, and those are the land, the air, the water, and the sun.
These corporate powers and governmental powers that are targeting our communities with toxic dump sites, with uranium mines, with all kinds of different things that are really, really, really damaging our people's health and straight up, you know, committing genocide on our communities.
También tenemos pueblos en ahuyentamiento voluntario, otros que dicen que es pueblos no contactados, y queremos que el gobierno y también nosotros como organización asegurarles de su territorio a ellos. Entonces esperamos de que su autodeterminación de esos pueblos lo respetamos en lo máximo.
preserve a land base for our future generations and my children and my grandchildren and children to come after that.
Just over 80 years ago, Chief Descani traveled from Canada to Geneva to tell the League of Nations about the right of his people to live on their own land, follow their own laws, and practice their own faiths. Chief Descani was refused permission to speak and had to return home without accomplishing his vision. But his vision has inspired countless indigenous leaders since then to articulate and pursue the goals of their peoples.
I mentioned that my spiritual leaders long time ago know that someday if people from foreign countries will come upon our land and put up what he calls graffiti, that means house of glass, where all nations who have able to come into this body will be gathered here and supposed to correct, change, and stop wrong things. The land of the Indigenous, that means first people, to bring about peace and justice and harmony. And you have been talking about human rights. But all these years, you have not opened a door to the original native people.
For far too long, the hopes and aspirations of indigenous peoples have been ignored. Their lands have been taken, their cultures denigrated or directly attacked, their languages and customs suppressed, their wisdom and traditional knowledge overlooked, and their sustainable ways of developing natural resources dismissed. Some have even faced the threat of extinction. Indigenous peoples continue to suffer from prejudice and ill will. In many cases, they are trapped in the middle of conflicts, conscripted into armed forces, faced with summary executions and relocated from their lands. They are subject to extreme poverty, disease, environmental destruction, and sometimes permanent displacement.
500 años que no nos han permitido realmente vivir en estado democrático, pluralista, diverso. Pareciera ser que los derechos humanos en los pueblos indígenas no existen. Pareciera ser que nosotros estamos destinados a vivir en la semi-esclavitud, en las restricciones y en la no participación de la democracia de nuestros estados. En ese sentido, nosotros a veces vemos con preocupación cómo se nos quieren dar a los pueblos indígenas derechos humanos de segunda categoría, cuando los derechos humanos son inalienables, inherentes y los estados deben protegerlos. Como los que nos deben proteger a nosotros son precisamente los que nos limitan, violan nuestros derechos humanos y no nos permiten realmente vivir en armonía dentro de nuestros estados.
The victims of human rights abuses have hardly any way to get their plight known at the international level because they are poor, they are isolated, they are socially excluded, discriminated against, marginalized. They live somewhere in the jungles or somewhere in the swamps or in the mountains and have no access to lawyers or even to NGOs, and certainly not to the system of justice in the government, much less to international organizations. Though in some countries we have, for example, the High Commissioner for Refugees is working, or UNICEF is working at the local level to help people and so forth, yet very often the complaints and the plight and the problems of certain indigenous peoples never get across.
Certains autochtones dans le monde entier, puisque nous, on n'a pas l'accès à l'eau même, on n'a pas l'accès à la santé. santé, on n'a pas l'accès à l'éducation.